Hey, what's up? It's Mr. Dean, and today I wanted to go and embark on an extremely difficult list to rank, that being every single Mario box art. Just to clarify, this only has to do with the covers for the games, not the games themselves, so it could be a really terrible game and it could still be high up on the list. And just to be clear on what qualifies for the list, it has to have Mario in the name and obviously be a Mario game. So for example, Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land is not on the list even though it has Mario in the name since it's really not a Mario game. And just to be clear, I ended up going with the North American releases for the game since I'm based in North America, so it just made the most sense for me to do that for the ranking, so there are some Japanese releases that aren't in this video. And also I did this video in collaboration with Mayro, so big thanks for helping out. And also one final thing before we actually get into the video, there were 2 new Mario games that got announced in the June Nintendo Direct, and that was after almost all this video had already been finalized. So unfortunately, Super Mario Party Jamboree and Mario and Luigi Brothership are not going to be on this list. So enough of me yapping at the beginning, let's just go ahead and get right into the list. Alright, so it took a lot of debate on which of the games should be at the bottom of the list since there are certainly a lot that deserve it, however I landed on Mario Teaches Typing for this title. Wow, Mario box art sure has come a long way, hasn't it? So first of all, I'm not a big fan of how the yellow of Mario's cape kind of blends in with the yellow and the Interplay logo. And then the Interplay logo blends in with the cinematic multimedia banner at the bottom too. I also have to address the elephant in the room of the keyboard image plastered in the back that just does not clash with literally anything else going on in the image. The Mario Teaches Typing logo isn't much better either. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I think it kind of goes without saying why this is bad cover art. Now I really tossed and turned about putting this one in the bottom spot. I mean, this is the only Mario game with a Confederate flag on its cover. However, I barely let this one slide on top of last place since I guess it has a tiny bit more creativity than the bottom one. I guess, I don't know, I'm really struggling with these bottom ones. So the Mario's Time Machine logo looks like a rip-off Best Buy logo, half of the historical things being upside down inside this vortex looks weird, and Mario looks like he's on anything but sobriety. This also does have more personality than the previous cover, but that definitely does not make it good. And similarly to the previous entry, we got some more color blending issues with the Time Machine itself having a very similar color scheme to the background, which I think looks off.
131, Mario's early years preschool fun. There's nothing in life I'm more passionate about than early years preschool fun where I can have fun and learn shapes, colors, sounds, so I've been excited to see what a Mario version could look like. I found this game that says Mario's early years preschool fun where I can have fun and learn shapes, colors, sounds, but I'm looking at it and where are the shapes? Mario seems to be holding nothing and oh, I see. Classic mistake. Mario is holding a blue triangle against a blue background. How am I meant to learn my colors and shapes if I can't see them? And where are the sounds? I know you can't see sounds normally, but you can represent them with sound waves or something. Maybe the MS-DOS section of the store can help. Nope, that child is still at school at 5 PM. Shows how effective the learning has been. Also, the motion blur of the ball is behind the green frame, but the ball isn't. I'm having no preschool fun at all! 130, Mario's early years, fun with numbers. You know, I'm starting to get the feeling that these artists do not take learning fun with shapes, matching, counting, patterns, and more seriously. What is Mario sitting on here? How is it possible for box art created in 1994 to look AI generated? Perhaps this yellow shape with the words on it is meant to stop us looking at the hands. Okay, but in all seriousness, take a look at the MS-DOS art. It's interesting to note how they changed the Mario artwork between versions, so there's clearly a bit of effort put in here. And yet, the Microsoft Word Art #1 has become the victim of being poorly cropped. How'd anyone meant to know this is a 1 now? The SNES version was clearly just lazily thrown together with no regard towards the learning experience for these children. The girl has become red with distraught between versions, and I hope Nintendo get held accountable.
It's time to wrap up the prestigious Mario's Early Years trilogy with Fun with Letters, which is barely, and I mean barely, above the other two. A choice of parents worldwide. Come on Nintendo, we can't encourage lying too. Why is the black box on the right just cutting into the cover itself? Just all around, this is a very ugly cover, and I don't even think it does a particularly good job at showing off its goal. Now why is this above the other 2 educational games right before? Honestly, I don't even really know, it's just a gut reaction kind of thing. All 3 of these are pretty bad, let's just move on. We will be getting to plenty more Mario box arts that are just a blank white screen later on in the ranking, and this is just the start of it all. Just a heads up, I am not a huge fan of these generally. I have a grand total of 1 compliment to give to this cover, that being that I like the drop shadow that was used on the Lost Levels text. That part looks alright. Everything else is stupid though. Why does Mario look like an elephant? Why does the medallion look like that? I can't even read the text at all. So many questions and so little answers. Number 128 it is. This cover. Heading on over to the Game Boy Advance, we got Mario Tennis Power Tour. Honestly, this one is better than the previous stuff, I guess, but it isn't a substantial enough jump to get out of the shitty cover purgatory. I don't know what the concept was with these weird CRT effects that separate each character, but I don't like it. They also cut off their heads, which ends up making all four of them look really awkward. Other than that, there really isn't a whole lot notable about this particular ranking. I just personally find it to be really ugly, especially compared to much else of the Mario Sports series. Alright, probably steaming hot take time. The cover for Mario Tennis for the Virtual Boy is terrible, but it is better than the Power Tour cover art. Barely. I am being so serious whenever I say if I was walking through a game store and I saw these two box arts, I would probably walk out. I don't know where you thought I was going with that analogy. Sure, the tennis text looks really ugly and the Virtual Boy branding is bad, but like, I guess this one is better? I don't know. Personality does go a long way in these rankings, and by a long way, I mean all the way up to number 126.
125, Super Mario RPG for Switch. Look, I just feel they could have tried a little harder with this one. It didn't stand out amongst the other trillions of white background Mario RPG games. I get wanting to make the new box art less messy than the old, but it's just a collage of promotional renders that already existed. I could have made this in 3 minutes.
So piggybacking off the last pick, the original cover art for Super Mario RPG kind of has the opposite problem. It is way the too overcrowded with text and stuff everywhere. Despite this being one of my all-time favorite games and the first Super Nintendo game I ever beat, I have never really been a fan of the box art. It certainly has its charm, it just has never really resonated with me personally. Number 123 is Mario Picross for the Game Boy, and I mean it's sort of charming. Mario looks absolutely terrifying in the top left without his full face, and the random boxes on the right side look pretty bad, but aside from that, this one is kinda sorta cute. I think the variety of tiles are pretty hideous too actually, but still the colors used on the background are the one positive I will say. I feel like it clashes pretty well, it's just unfortunate that everything else on this cover is kind of a train wreck. At number 122 is one of the most bizarre placements on this list. This is one of the rare Virtual Boy entries, and honestly, as bad as this game is, this cover art is like quarterly semi-tolerable. It still f***ing sucks ass though, don't get my words twisted. The Mario Clash logo is atrocious. Is it just me or is the Mario text uncomfortably smaller than the Clash text? The Virtual Boy logo is absolutely hideous as always, much like the console itself. With that being said though, the cover does actually reflect what's going on in the game I suppose, at least from what I can tell. I haven't actually played on that cluster of a console. So next up we head on over to the Nintendo 64 with Mario Tennis, and there is a grand total of one problem that I have with this cover. However, that one problem is absolutely awful. Of all colors that could have made the court that Mario is standing on, they chose red. Not only does this blend in with Mario himself, but it also blends in with the side Nintendo 64 sleeve. Also, while the Mario and friends serve up another ace text is cute, it ends up making this look worse as a whole. Honestly, if the court was any other color except for red or yellow, I would have probably been fine with this cover. Number 120 is Mario Bros, and oh my we truly have come a long way with this series, haven't we? Yeah, looking back at this one, it's a pretty atrocious cover. The only reason it made it this far is because it's honestly kind of adorable. Like, somehow this is hideous and charming at the same time, and I honestly don't really know how they pulled that off. I could spend a lot of time breaking this cover apart, which actually, yeah, let's do that. The Mario Bros logo looks unbelievably bad here. Why is the drop shadow so far apart from the text? Why is the Nintendo font barely visible at the bottom of the screen and blending in with the bricks? I barely even saw this. I won't bring up Mario wearing the wrong color since this was before they established them as characters, but what I will bring up is them blending Mario in with this awful sky texture in the back. This cover, but also I like this cover at the same time. I don't know how to feel.
119, Hotel Mario. Okay, this one's actually not too bad. The way the actual games try to be integrated with the background is very creative, and the building sign doubling as the game's logo is pretty nice as well. To be honest, I'm just a bit creeped out by the other characters. They look uncanny and weird. And it's fine and all, but there exists better box arts where the other characters do not look uncanny and weird.
Alright, Mario paint time. Why does Mario's hair look like that? Why is he almost like dirty blonde in this cover, still with the black mustache? Aside from that, the Mario Paint logo is pretty terrible, and a lot of the space in the background to the left and upper right looks pretty awkward. I don't totally hate this cover, I do think that it fits the game. I will say that Mario having the hat on sideways is very 90s, and it does give a couple sympathy points for that. Overall, the cover definitely could be a lot better though.
117, Mario Teaches Typing 2. This one's fine. He's jumping across the keys and jumping through the computer monitor. It's clever. But like, why is he shaded like that? I don't want to rag on some guy's art style, but actually I do. I don't want deformed, oiled up Mario sitting on my shelf watching me sleep at night. He's gonna haunt me till I'm 101, when I'm finally too old to be taught typing.
Mario Golf Advanced Tour is yet another cover on this list where they make the brutal mistake of having some element of the cover completely blend into something else. This time around it is a silhouette of Mario swinging the golf club blending in with the sleeve on the left. Also, not a huge fan of the role-playing golf text. I suppose it could be relevant to the game, but it is so massive and striking that it becomes intrusive on the rest of the cover. Aside from that, this is an alright cover, I guess. Be prepared for a lot of Mario sports games coming up, since a lot of them are basically the same thing artwork-wise. Mario Superstar Baseball has a bit of a different problem than the previous pick. This one is just kind of immediately confusing to look at for the consumer. Why is Mario so close to Bowser? It almost looks like Bowser is swinging at Mario or something. I know Peach's Castle is one of the stadiums in the game, but the way it looks on the cover, it is not exactly super exciting. Other than that, this one is just mildly okay. This one might be a weird placement, Super Mario Maker for the 3DS. This one is more of a gut feeling. I don't really know what it is I don't like about it, I just don't f***ing like it. What I can point out is that the entire bottom half of the cover being yellow is a little off-putting. Aside from that, I just don't really like this cover that much. Another weird cover on this list is Mario Tennis Open. So there are two main issues I have with this box art. One is that the tennis ball feels really hidden. It is on a part of the box where it is almost completely being covered up by the game's logo and it kinda blends in with the court, so there's that. Also, Bowser being slightly blurred due to him running after the ball also looks kinda weird.
112, Dr. Mario NES. I appreciate the ambition of making the viruses look like multi-pack sour Grinches, but it's just not that visually appealing. I think this box art does a good job of showing the premise. Mario's a doctor now, there's some pills in the background, and a rabbit with oddly detailed feet is the main antagonist. Dr. Mario is coming, and he's got the cure, with the cure being a thermometer permanently locked in to detect the highest possible temperature. The logo has an X in it, which I remember Dean thinking was clever, but quite frankly I forgot what he said, so I don't really get the appeal of it. All in all, add a bit more saturation, and remove the yellow text and elderly shine sprite Mike Wazowski, and this could be a real banger.
Number 111 is Mario Party 8, which is it just me or does this one look kinda like a f***ing YouTube thumbnail? Why is the star literally just a PNG with a white outline around it? I think the concept of all the characters walking in a line in one direction is kind of creative, but it just doesn't really work. Also, much like a lot of the other covers on this list, there's just way too much going on in general. Now, I really did not know what to do with the Super Mario 3D World remake on the Switch. Speaking of covers with way too much going on, yeah. This cover is really lucky that the tiny portion that covers Bowser's Fury is fire, but in combination with the rest of the already mediocre 3D World artwork, I'm not really a huge fan. Coming into number 109 is Dr. Mario 64, which is definitely an improvement over the NES version. Despite me liking this one quite a bit, I am keeping this one down mainly because it looks so similar to the original that I think it can be a little bit confusing. With that being said, the game logo being changed to yellow is such a small change that makes a whole world of difference. The viruses still look a little campy, but I think that does kind of fit the game. We have our first Mario Kart game on the list with Super Mario Kart. Despite this being really charming, it is just way too busy. I know it's iconic, but I just think that there is more flaws with this than there are a majority of the list. Also, Yoshi. Controversial pick time, Mario Kart Wii has a pretty subpar box art. Despite being maybe my all-time favorite game, this is a totally lame cover. I'm really not a fan of these white background covers, and this one bothers me even more with it being a glorified Wii Wheel commercial. Just like the previous one, it is iconic, but I won't let that guide me away from my genuine opinions about it.
106, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. Hold on a minute, they can't both have gold medals, that's not how that works! Now, I was gonna rank this higher, but I see a Daisy fan in the crowd, and Daisy fans are annoying, so I had to bump it down a few spots for that. But with that aside, I think this is solid. It's about what you'd expect. Mario and Sonic sure are at the Olympic Games set in Tokyo 2020. Glad someone got to compete in the Olympics that year. I think it's just a bit safe. There's not much ambition here. It's like it's just another Mario and Sonic game for the collection, when in reality, okay, yeah, maybe that's accurate branding then.
Number 105 is Mario Golf for the Game Boy Color, and this is honestly the single most average cover on this entire list. Like, this is so boring and inoffensive, there isn't even really anything for me to make fun of. At the same time, I guess it's fine, like it shows Mario swinging a golf club, so the bare minimum is achieved. Unfortunately, there are plenty more covers in the boring category to come up, and these are definitely the hardest for me to commentate on. Paper Mario Sticker Star is up next, and as far as the busy and overcrowded covers go, this one is slowly walking towards the better side of it. Still, this cover is just a cluster of stuff going on, but it does look like a fun experience, which considering it's sticker star, that is false advertising, so no way this can hit the top 100. Going back to another painfully boring cover art, we got the Super Mario 3D All-Stars box art. Much like the game itself, this is very basic and lazy. Next.
102, Mario Party the top 100. See, this one's pretty nice. It's a game all about minigames, so see a bunch of minigames in the background. The logo's creative, sporting both red and gold characters, and being placed on a sewable badge thingy, and that Mario render looks delightful. I think what could have made it better though is firstly not putting Honeycomb Havoc in there because it makes me not want to buy the game, and secondly, actually representing some minigames through character renders and artwork, rather than just showing me screenshots of them. Instead of a low resolution screenshot of a character hitting a pokey, why not actually have a new render of a character hitting a pokey? Or instead of a low resolution picture of a Cheep Cheep being reeled in, you could have an actual good minigame.
Just out of the top 100 is Super Mario 3D Land, and enough with the transparent PNG backgrounds, Nintendo. Aside from the background looking very stupid, everything else about this box art is just so generic. I guess it is fitting since the game itself is also generic, but I digress. I know it's been talked about online, but a part of the problem with the game logo too is that it looks way too similar to the Super Mario World logo from before, creating the possibility for confusion with the consumer. And we are not done with the Super Mario 3D World Land series, as we got the other sibling of this, 3D World. This is basically the exact same thing as the previous one, except I guess the logo is barely better with the cat theming. Still isn't a good logo, but it's kind of better. I think it's sort of odd how all the characters are here twice, one extra time on the bottom with the cat suit on. While this fits marketing the power-up, I think it also just looks really stupid. Other than that, this cover is just really generic, it just looks a little bit more high quality than the previous one.
99, Mario Sports Mix. Mario Sports Mix had a pretty neat cover. Look, they're playing all the sports instead of just showing screenshots of them. They're even playing basketball twice, that's how you know it's top notch. Making the court appear more gold really helps it stand out against Mario's red clothing front and center, even if it does make the sick shot Bowser's about to nail with that coin a bit more hidden. But like, and I know, would it kill them to put an actual background? Like a blue sky or something? I like summer vibes in video games a lot more than Super Paper Mario Chapter 6 vibes in video games. It'd cheer Luigi up if you added it. Do it for Luigi, Nintendo.
Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story is up next at 98, and yay, more white backgrounds, my favorite! It's a shame because I really love the logo itself, but there is nothing else here. I think this cover looks fine. I do like the illustrations of Mario and Luigi and how Luigi is getting scared by Bowser. That's kind of cute. Anyway, we have a chain of Mario and Luigi games coming up, so let's go ahead and get straight to those.
97, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey. I can't think why a game with such a memorable name such as Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey would sell poorly, especially with box art that looks so different from the others in the series. Also, where's Mario and Luigi working on the logo? That's like the most important part! Anyway, I actually really like all the character artwork here. Luigi's much more expressive than the original, and the extra characters from Bowser Jr.'s Journey look so cute. 96, Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. This is the game where the white outlines around the Paper Mario character started, and I'm pleased to announce that no discourse came from it at all. Everybody's been very normal about it. Personally, I love how they look here, even if they now need a second black outline to make the white outline visible against the white background. The boring part of the background peeling off to reveal a much nicer yellow pattern looks fantastic, and serves as a nice metaphor for how the Paper Mario series kept going for several years while Alpha Dream was busy going bankrupt. It's quite ironic how the paper part of the box art has the most depth.
Finally, closing out our little series of white background Mario RPG covers, we have the remake of Superstar Saga, which just looks the most fun out of all of these. I don't think this is a notably good cover or anything, but for what it is, I kind of like it.
94, Mario Kart 7. Oh hey, it's the most detailed model of Toad Circuit we ever got, showing off all the key new features from Mario Kart 7. Kart customization, gliding, and underwater— oh, not that one I guess. I suppose Toad Circuit is set in the United Kingdom, judging by the weather. Cloudy day today, that's for sure. I really love how fast everything is here. Look at the motion blur. It really sets the tone for how fast you can speed through the versus mode. Wait, sorry, it's not in this game. What I'm trying to say is this cover art really represents Mario Kart 7, and if they added a skybox, I think it would be perfect.
Oh yeah, remember when I said that we were done with the Mario and Luigi games? Yeah, no, we are right back to that. Dream Team once again has the same problem as the other ones where it is just a white background, but I don't know, it just looks better. The illustration of Luigi dreaming is kind of cute, the Dream Team logo itself looks beautiful, it's just this damn basic ass background for sake. Coming into number 92 is Super Mario Advance, which, putting the word vomit aside, it looks okay. This is the remake of Super Mario Bros. 2 if you didn't know. I know it might be hard to tell. The logo is kind of average, not really good or bad, but I think the Mario illustration is cute enough to semi-make up for it. Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games is way too overcrowded, but aside from that, this one is alright. It does look kind of fun from first glance from the perspective of a consumer. I just think it needs to chill out with the abundance of characters all clustered everywhere. Also, Mario looks really creepy. Mario Party Star Rush is up next, and this one looks fine. It isn't really anything too notable or anything. I still think it's maybe a little bit too overcrowded with characters plastered everywhere, and they still have a transparent overlay in the sky, and I just don't understand why. Oh, that rhymed. At least there's blue behind it, but it still looks kind of odd to me. But yeah, the cover itself looks fine, just not much more than that. Now I know it may seem bizarre that I have the Wii U version of Super Mario Maker box art so much higher than the 3DS version despite them basically being the same thing, and honestly my reason is so stupid. The Wii U version has a hand holding a stylus which is dragging a pipe, and that tiny addition just improves it by that much. I know that may seem ridiculous, it's just my opinion on it, sorry not sorry.
88, Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix. I mean, this one's just cool. Nothing gets me whipping out my wallet like a classic Mario pussy attack. I actually have a custom skin for my Wii U console with this artwork. I don't remember why, but it looks kind of bad actually, but I like it anyway, and no, I'm not going to show a picture because I can't be bothered. Look at him busting it down on the dance floor. As someone who makes a lot of YouTube thumbnails, I have to commend them because it's hard to make art stand out with a darker backdrop, but it's done quite well here with the white glow around everything. Would be nice if the logo was actually centered, but we can't have everything.
At number 87 is Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 March of the Minis, which is easily my least favorite of this little mini series. I do like this one more than I dislike it. My main problem is the mini Marios being placed right behind the main mini Mario that is shown on the box art. This just doesn't really look that great to me personally. Other than that, this one does immediately show the fun nature of the game, sort of. Finally, we get to the games that start to look a little bit better with Mario Party Island Tour. From here on out, I like all of these covers and it gets much more difficult to rank. This one honestly looks pretty visually appealing. I think it maybe is a little bit generic and maybe a little bit too overcrowded at the top, but I am still vibing with it. If there was just a little bit less going on at the top, then this one would definitely make it to the top half of the list. And of course we have yet another Mario Party game next on the list with Mario Party 9. This one has a very similar issue to the previous pick, with the background being way too overcrowded. The only real thing separating this one from Island Tour, to be honest, is the background itself having this mystical space quality that I think looks kind of unique. Once again, way too much tomfoolery with the characters everywhere though. Now I know this is a very outlandish pick, but Mario Tennis for the Game Boy Color is like kind of not that bad. Maybe it's the fact that Mario actually has some personality in his face here, but I could totally see myself buying this game on a store shelf. At number 83 is Mario vs. Donkey Kong Mini Land Mayhem for the DS. This one is pretty cut and dry. I like the orange background and I like Mario's design. I can't really tell if he is angry at Donkey Kong or laughing at him though. Also, this time around, I don't think that the mini Marios are quite as intrusive on the visual appeal. Super Mario Advance 2 Super Mario World jumps on into number 82. I think that this one is just pretty adorable and tributes to the game that it is remaking. Also, if you don't know, Yoshi is my favorite character of all time and he is kind of front and center, which I do have to appreciate. Not the best cover art in the entire list, but it does do a pretty good job at what it's trying to do.
81, Mario's missing. Luigi need you, and how? How what? Is that a typo? Again, if Mario's teaching typing was less repulsive, these mistakes wouldn't happen. Official Nintendo seal, Luigi is not amused. The art here looks fine, and the logo looks uncreative but fine. The whole thing's just fine. A little cursed, but fine.
I think the new Super Mario Bros. DS box art is this really weird case of a pretty minimal design that visually looks pretty good being bogged down by one single addition. They made a point to show off Mega Mario to the left, which makes you think that the power-up would play a much bigger role in the game when in reality it doesn't. It definitely isn't relevant enough to the actual game to be prominently placed on the box art like this. With that being said, it still looks visually good, so I just decided to put it towards the middle of the road here. At number 79 is New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and I think that the red header actually actually helps this one stand out quite a bit. I know many aren't big fans of the inconsistency with some game header colors, but in this case I do think that it fits. And with this being the first true 2D Mario game to support multiplayer, I think that this box art does a decent job at highlighting that. Other than those points, this is one of the most generic ones on this list, so I can't really put it much higher than right here. At number 78, the Mario Sports Series strikes again with Mario Golf Super Rush. This is where we start to see an increase in quality with the sports game covers though, because I do actually quite like this one. I like how Mario looks all smug and overconfident with the shot he is hitting. Everything in the background looks good, and I like the outline of the swing's motion. This is still on the generic side thematically, but it looks good, and honestly there is nothing wrong with that. Now we have a stream of Mario and Sonic Olympic Games titles up, so brace yourselves. At number 77 is the original release. I will count this as both the Wii and DS since both versions are essentially the exact same. This is very simple of a design, but seeing the clash between Mario and Sonic is pretty striking, and since this hadn't been done before, it gets brownie points for that. I still think most of the other covers in the series look cooler, but for a first game in the series, I do kinda dig this.
77. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games, DS. No matter how passionately you play sports, the all-knowing white void will consume all. But it hasn't consumed it yet, and we have some time remaining to check out these lads actually doing things, instead of standing in a field with their illegitimate gold medals. I look at this box art and go, wow, I know some of the sports that are in this game, and then I buy it probably. The characters are still mostly restricted to their little minigame boxes rather than interacting with one another like Sports Mix, but the whole piece is much more interesting overall due to the innovation of things and not absolutely nothing.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games for the Wii is almost the same as the DS one, but it is just barely different enough to qualify as its own entry on the list. There really isn't a ton for me to add on to this cover specifically, it just looks pretty good, that's about it. From here on out, everything is good, and it gets significantly harder to judge which ones I like more than others. Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games is another bizarre case of a game having a specific color trim on its cover. This time around it is yellow, and once again I actually do like this one. The cover itself looks really solid. I like the slight blur to everything going on in the background in order to make Mario and Sonic really pop.
Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games for Wii U. This is what I've been asking for. They're in a vibrant location, they have unique renders, and they're actually playing the different sports without being reduced to a compilation of screenshots. But if we're nitpicking here, they kind of forgot to put anything in the middle. Nothing especially interesting is happening in the field here, and while it's better than a white void, it's still worse than things actually happening. I feel like my eyes are most drawn to the center of the image, and then I see nothing there. Not even a Dr. Mario virus with extremely detailed feet.
Now I got some more conflicting feelings for number 72, that being Mario Party 3. I think that there are some really cool and awesome stuff going on, but also some questionable things too, which averages it out to a 72. This one is certainly a little overcrowded in the back with all the characters everywhere, but Mario being front and center with a white glow effect helps to mitigate that a little bit. Also, the Mario Party 3 logo looks really good. Really, this one just looks like a fun time, which for a Mario Party cover, that's really important to get across. I want to really remind you that this ranking has nothing to do with the quality of the games themselves, because number 71 is Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. Despite how bad of a game this is, I think it actually has a really strong cover. Mario smirking while hitting the ball 50 feet above the court, the ball glowing, the full stadium. This looks like it would be a fun game, it's just unfortunate that it isn't. It's hard to put one of my favorite Mario games in the middle of the road like this, but Super Mario Bros. 3's box art does leave a little bit to be desired. We do have a nice little drawing of Mario soaring in the air with the Tanuki power-up, a nice logo and everything, but why the yellow background? I feel like it could have been really cool to play with the whole theater aesthetic that this game employs throughout a lot of its levels. I don't know, really anything other than this. It still looks fine though, it would just be a little bit hypocritical to place this game way above the other plain background titles on here. I also don't mind it as much here since this was before the whole plain background aesthetic was beaten to death, but it just isn't my personal favorite. We got the return of the Mario vs Donkey Kong games at number 69 with Tipping Stars. This is both for the Wii U and 3DS, so I'll just be counting both for this placement. I love the red background, and thankfully they gave the mini Mario a yellow outline in order to make him blend in. I love how Mario and Donkey Kong are just staring each other down in the corners. This would probably be a lot higher if it weren't for the oodles of text everywhere and the logo being a little bit average, but I do like what I am looking at overall. It is about time that we we get to the original Super Mario Bros. Game that started it all on the NES here at number 68. Now don't get me wrong, I think that this is a really strong and iconic cover. It is immediately recognizable and that is what a cover should be. However, I think that there are plenty of games on this list that have more eye-catching and creative covers. But yeah, for what it is, this is a great first cover for the Super Mario series and it shows off what needs to be shown off. We got a fireball hitting a brick, a dope dashing effect behind Mario, and a grainy black background that I think still looks pretty sleek. Surprisingly, coming into number 67 is Mario Kart Super Circuit, which I feel like I shouldn't like nearly as much as I do. I mean, it literally is just Mario in a car looking at the screen. That's about it. However, I think the blue checkered background looks incredible, the logo looks fire, and Mario looks pissed the f off. Holy shit. I'm sorry Mario for whatever I did to make you angry. Number 66 is Mario Strikers Charged, and maybe this is a controversial pick, I don't know. We will get to the original Mario Strikers cover later on, but I think that this one isn't quite as good. The whole art style is still absolutely jaw-dropping and there is a ton of attitude, but the glowing ball in the middle just doesn't look as great to me. All in all, this is still a really cool cover. I don't want to act like I'm just tearing it apart. I just don't know if I was a random consumer that wasn't into gaming and Nintendo, if the first thing I was thinking of when I saw this would be soccer. Now I know I've ripped on a lot of the games up to this point with the bland white backgrounds, but now we have one that actually does it right, Mario Kart DS. First off, the Mario Kart DS logo is one of the best in the entire Mario Kart series. It just immediately is appealing and iconic. I love how Mario is just kind of leaping in the B-Dasher. This alone makes this 10 times cooler than it would be otherwise. I would still prefer to have something going on in the background, but it doesn't really bother me as much here. I think that this one looks fire. Weirdly, the Rio 2016 Olympic Games 3DS version is actually a lot better than the Wii U version. For some reason they decided to really pop the f off here with a dichotomy between the red and blue sides, which looks fantastic. Also the logo looks great too. I want to go ahead and move on since all these Olympic games are really giving me a headache.
New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Looks awfully yellow, doesn't it? By itself it's a bit much, but with the context of it being an upgraded version of Bros. U, I actually quite like this change. It's a creative way to remix the original box art and make it very obvious at a glance that it's a new premium version. Plus, it's not just a solid color, but a cool shiny gold pattern, and the Joy-Cons are on the logo, and funny Peachette. Just like a YouTube thumbnail, sometimes you just need to stand out, and I think this box art does a great job at that.
I had to fight for my life to warrant putting the Super Mario World box art as high as I could because I love this game and it has Yoshi on it, but this is as high as I could go. I can't possibly make fun of the bottom half of the list for having these ugly black boxes of text on the side and not bring that up here too. But it cannot be understated how playful and iconic of a cover this is. Despite being a bland blue background, we got Mario and Yoshi joyously leaping forward with one of the best Mario logos of all time. This one is so good that some of the future logos would basically just rip this one off. Number 61 is Paper Mario Color Splash, and I really didn't know what to do with this one. I mean, I like it, I just don't really hold the same attachment to this box art that I do with some of the other games on this list. It fits the aesthetic of the game well and shows off the main mechanics of Mario hammering at the ground. It just isn't quite top 60 worthy, but I can warrant number 61.
Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I think the simpler background here actually helps the Wonder Flower effect to pop and feel significant. They've managed to squeeze most of the major characters here, including a lot of the major hazards in the first world. The bulrushes, the talking flowers, the overworld and savannah level themes, the parachute cap, the elephant mushroom, and the pipe worms. It also helps that the renders aren't all exactly the same ones we've been seeing since the GameCube, really selling that Wonder is new and breathes new life into the series.
Mario Party 10 is a weird game on this list because I kind of love it ironically. Bowser holding a Wii U is extremely corny, but it's also kind of cute. The rest of the characters jumping out of said gamepad is also kind of cool. Although I think the Bowser mode is really broken and dumb, it is represented well in the box art, so overall it isn't too shabby. Super Mario Land brings us right back to the classics with a personality-filled piece of artwork. I do still have some issues with it. The Super Mario Land logo does kind of look drab and it doesn't blend in well with the background. However, with that being said, I just love the illustrations on this cover and it just looks like a grand old time.
Mario Kart Tour. I know this one isn't really box art, but Nintendo's been using it to represent box art in their Mario Kart 8 Deluxe trailers, and it just looked cool, so I wanted to talk about it. Despite Bowser's jaw looking like an opening to another dimension, I really like the whole design to this. Lots of the real-world locations you visit in the game are on display, like Paris, New York, London, Tokyo, and We Drive Ruins. Having everyone driving on a literal globe is really cute, and there's even a Cheep Cheep swimming around in the ocean. I think this launch artwork was probably the best iteration they had before they started using the battle mode update artwork.
We got the original Mario Party coming into number 56, and this one is pretty good. The only issue I really have is that the dice showing the number 3 sometimes subliminally makes me immediately associate this cover with Mario Party 3, even though it isn't Mario Party 3. But since that game didn't exist when this came out, I won't hold that against this game. Aside from that, I think that this cover just did a really good job at laying out the blueprints for the future of the series. And just about everything that the original cover did was done even better with the sequel, Mario Party 2. Mario wearing a cowboy hat is adorable, the yellow background looks great, and just overall this is more eye-catching than the original. The nostalgia bug is probably biting me pretty hard here, but at number 54 we have Super Mario 64. DS. There is something kind of low quality feeling about this, and I just kind of like it. Just having the 4 main playable characters running in an empty grass field bumping into each other is really charming. Great cover, and makes me want to play the game again, and I feel like that is what a good cover should do at the end of the day. We got a bit of a hidden gem here at number 53, Mario Pinball Land for the Game Boy Advance. Why is this actually a good cover? This is just yet another case of the illustrations being done for the box art just nailing the playful aesthetic of Mario. Also, I like how Mario is just winking right at you. At number 52 is Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo, and this is just a pretty cute box art. Seeing Mario in a full suit and top hat is really adorable, and the way the characters are just standing on the old covers is pretty cute. I still think the black box full of text on the side just looks really stupid, but all in all, I'm a pretty big fan of this artwork. And following the original up is the remake on the Wii, and despite this being a really game itself, I kind of love this cover. I know this is probably a guilty pleasure, but I feel no guilt. The gold Mario in combination with the pristine red background makes everything look grand and extravagant. We dig right back into the Mario Sports series with the original Mario Golf for the Nintendo 64 at number 50. Now this is how you do a Mario Sports box art, especially for the first true entry in its respective series. It looks immediately fun, shows off what the sport is in a clear manner, and the game logo looks great. The text saying tee up with Mario and his friends is a little pointless, and half of Yoshi being behind the red overlay are slight things that I don't like, but all in all, I really love this one. Now, it is no secret that nowadays, the new Super Mario Bros. Series gets a little redundant and stale, but let's be real, New Super Mario Bros. 2 has a pretty fire cover art. The game is built around the mechanic of collecting as many coins as you can, and making the background a gold design with coins everywhere really demonstrates that pretty well. Other than that, it's a little simple, but I don't know, I like it. Honestly, the Super Mario Bros. 2 cover art is pretty much the exact same thing as the Super Mario Bros. 3 one, except with a slightly more visually appealing and interesting background. Both feature Mario with one of the prominent features of their respective games equipped. Both have a pretty similar logo too. I just slightly prefer this one due to the sky background instead of the boring yellow one. We have another entry in the Mario Golf series at number 47, and once again I really like it. This time around the perspective is right behind the motion of Mario swinging at the ball, and I think that this one looks really cool. Also, the shot of the course that Mario is playing on looks so good in contrast with this and the logo. I maybe would have changed the silhouette of Mario swinging at the top left to not being white since it blends in with the clouds, but aside from that, I love everything about this.
Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. It's just so cool! They made the rabbits look cool! Peach is looking after poor little rabbit Rosalina who just didn't want to be there. Mario looks cool as hell while dual-wielding guns and curses looming over everybody also looking cool as hell. The background is Beacon Beach and you can see the Stooges, Goombas and Bob-Ombs that you fight in that area. There's also a couple of sparks, which are the rabbit Lumas for those not in the know. The Beacon Beach lighthouse is even visible and you can see elements of the blocky grid battle arenas if you look closely next to the Ubisoft logo. This box art represents the game perfectly, showing as many elements as possible in the coolest ways possible. Also, Edge gives me gender envy. I want to be her, minus the being a rabbit thing. Oh, how I love Super Mario Sunshine. Mario has more moves than ever and you're something I can't read them or sprinkle water in the sunshine. Having an unreadable tagline on your logo is cool, actually. Makes it seem more important than it really is. While I love the style of just show everything and make it look rad found in future games like Mario and Sonic, sometimes showing nothing and making it look cool is just as effective. It's just Mario standing there in front of a shine sprite. The logo itself is also extremely creative. It really plays with the size and placement of each individual letter, and using a stylized sun to represent the O in Mario is very creative and distinct. In general, they've captured the summer vibe without resorting to the most obvious method of doing so, which fits nicely with the creativity found in the game itself.
At number 45 is another entry in the Mario Strikers series, and I definitely like this one a little bit more than Charged on the Wii. It still is not nearly as great as the original in this category, but having a clash between Mario and Bowser front and center is pretty nice. Also, having the whole combining stadiums mechanic being demonstrated with the background is also nice. There isn't really anything that bugs me in particular about this box, it just looks pretty nifty. At number 44 is Mario Party 5's artwork, and against all odds, I really like this one. Typically, I hate it when covers flip characters upside down since I think that it looks really stupid, but for some reason here, I don't mind it. The blue background looks pretty beautiful, and the star that Mario is holding looks so pure and shiny. I feel like I shouldn't like this one as much as I do, but what can I say?
Mario Party 4. All the characters are there and they look quite nice. Daisy's even doing her best YouTube thumbnail face. Too bad the meta is closed mouth now. Wario's already caught on, makes sense since he's the business guy of the group. Donkey Kong's raking in the cash with the closed mouth strat too. Mario Party 4 gets it all right. You have the characters with new renders interacting with the game's mechanics, a cool looking logo, and a background that isn't plain boring. It's eye-catching for all the right reasons.
Now this could just completely be me, but I f***ing love the box art from Mario Golf World Tour. For whatever reason, the models of the characters all look fantastic, and thank you Nintendo for not flooding the background with extra bullshit. Everything is well placed, the course looks beautiful, the game logo looks good. This is totally a cover that makes me want to play the game itself, so yeah, I would say this is a pretty damn good one. At number 41 is another oddball pick, Mario Party Advance for the Game Boy Advance. This is yet another one that features a staple of the Piss Matthew Off Club, characters being flipped upside down yet again. While normally that is the case, this is another case of me not really being that bothered this time around, probably because I love the background and this one is unironically one of my favorite Mario logos of all time. Also, this is a party on the go, I don't know if you could tell by the plain white text. I don't know, this one just looks like a really good time. Really, that sentence applies to everything from here on out. Nintendo recreated the Mario and Donkey staring each other down in the corners of the screen with the Switch release of the game, and this is one of my favorite ones. The combination of the bright background popping with the incredible logo and the way that Mario is just eyeing down Donkey Kong is just fantastic.
Mario Kart 64. This is basically the Mario Kart 7 art again, but they remembered the skybox. But this one's also a bit more creative with the framing, having Mario to the right and the logo to the left rather than trying to keep everything around a central point. Makes it feel more like an actual race rather than everyone posing for a photo. The logo is also one of the better ones in the series, feeling more playful than the modern logos, and having the checkered flag in the background. It feels like the Mario Kart Wii logo, but you actually know what it's trying to be.
Finally, the Mario and Luigi series strikes back on the list with Partners in Time, and regardless of your thoughts on the game, this is kind of sick. I personally love the Shroobs as the antagonists, and placing them ominously in the background as silhouettes is so genius. They look creepy back there, but also charming in Mario fashion. Also, Mario and Luigi have a healthy dose of emotion in their faces, which a lot of the titles on this list didn't really have that in their cover art. Typically, I also wouldn't like the psychedelic spiral thing in the bottom half, but it works here, and that is the way the time portals look in the game, so it makes sense. This is another really weird placement that I have, but I really love the Super Mario Advance 3 cover. This kind of has a really low quality drawing aesthetic, almost like it was drawn by a child, which lo and behold works in its favor. This is the Baby Mario and Yoshi adventure, and that look perfectly complements it. Also, you cannot look at this and tell me it doesn't just look like it'd be a fun game, especially if you are a kid looking at the Game Boy Advance games. And of course, I have to follow that up with the original version of Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo at number 35. These are basically the same, I just prefer the more widened version of the Super Nintendo cover template. Also, I like this one more since you see the leaves that Yoshi is running on dip into the bottom black part where the Super Nintendo logo is. I know there are some other examples where I omitted versions of box arts that are basically the same as each other, but this one is just barely better to where I wanted to note it as its own entry. Number 34 is Mario Party 7, which I have no real justification for putting it this high, I just like the way it looks. For some reason, giving Mario and Luigi a white glow effect always makes them look like they're on a YouTube thumbnail, and it never ceases to make me laugh. And I like the yellow and blue dichotomy between the left and right sides. Mario Sports Superstars comes into number 33, and quality of the game aside, I f***ing love the fuck out of this box art. Dude, I don't know what it is, this just makes my eyes so happy. I know this probably isn't as creative or special as many of the other covers that came before it, I just like it, sorry. Before this video, I had never even heard of Mario's game gallery, but holy shit. the box art. Why do they pop off so hard on this? Mario just looks so sparkly and excited, like just look at him. Even the logo goes hard. And even the background high key fits everything going on. I love this. At number 31 is Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, and this one really boils down to me loving the game logo and me loving the illustrations of the characters. This cover is just oozing with personality in every regard. At number 30 is Mario Tennis Aces, and this is another one of those Mario sports covers that especially stands out. This gives off the wacky nature of these tennis games very well, with the futuristically lit tennis court and all the bright colors in the dark sky. All in all, it just looks like a lot of fun, which is what is supposed to come of a Mario sports game. We have yet another Mario Party game at number 29, this time being Mario Party Superstars. I like the whole scrapbook design, I like how it shows off some of the fun nature of the older games, maybe without some of the ruthlessness, but hey, that's all fine. Let me just point out again that basically everything in the top 50 or 60 is like equally incredible to me, and I just love all of these, and I'm going with my visceral gut reaction.
Paper Mario. Aw, they drew all the art. Front-facing Paper Bowser is so cute, and I love every time he's included in everything ever. Mario getting carried by Parakarry is such a fantastic choice to focus on, because despite it not being that significant in the full game, it's a real ability you get, and it's probably the most eye-catching choice for something like this. I also love how everything in the background is made of paper. Most notably is the yellow background itself, which actually has detail if you zoom in, and of course the logo itself plays with that papery style. I'm even alright with the text on the bottom left. It's not really necessary, but they did it a lot in these older games, and I think you can actually read it here. It didn't feel like an afterthought at all. If I was to nitpick, I think Cammy Cooper should have been flipped so you can see her face better, and I think Peach shouldn't have been hidden behind the red column either.
And we have another Mario Party game at number 27, and this still isn't even my favorite Mario Party box art. Super Mario Party still has some incredible packaging though. I love how all the characters are happily just floating in this weird colorful vortex purgatory thing. And amazingly, I actually don't mind the random Joy-Cons floating in here too, because not only does it add to the whole vibrant chaos going on, but it clashes pretty well with everything else. Swinging into number 26 is Mario Power Tennis, and I couldn't really decide whether I like this or the Super Sluggers cover more, and these are basically just in a tie. And as I just mentioned 5 seconds ago, Mario Super Sluggers comes in to number 25 for the Wii. Now this is how you do a Mario baseball box art. I love how Mario is grinning while making an improbable catch, the game logo is brilliant, and the background characters help to fill in that space on the right side. Not really anything for me to complain about, I just like this one quite a bit.
Sometimes simplicity just works. When Mario flies through the sky, the world is his playground, and so they represent Mario's world as an actual planet which Mario is flying past. The Goomba and Boo renders are really cute, and the focus on the blue and green colors in the piece feels very calming and pleasant. This one just makes me happy.
Super Mario Maker 2 is absolutely leagues above the other two Mario Maker games, coming in at number 23. Moving the yellow part to being the top header immediately makes it look cooler, also it having both Mario and Luigi actually creating the level in the background gets the message across in a much more clear manner. It also shows some of the 3D world elements, which is a brand new feature in this game, so yeah, that was a pretty nice touch. The Mario and Sonic 2014 Winter Olympic Games for the Wii U comes in at number 22, and this is just gorgeous. I don't think I really need to explain myself on this one. This is about as close to perfection as any of these Mario and Sonic covers can possibly dream of getting to. From here on out is where we really start to get to where it's hard to rank these. These are the top of the heap with Mario covers. Super Paper Mario is an absolutely gorgeous depiction of the game. The 2D to 3D gimmick that is present throughout the entire game is cleverly implemented on here. We got Count Bleck and Nastasia off to the side scheming, and we got Bowser eyeing down Mario gleefully jumping about. Also, this is one of my favorite Mario logos, it's so good. And a potentially hot take incoming, but the new Super Mario Bros. U box art is even better. This is an absolutely breathtaking cover, like the background is just the right amount of stuff happening. I love the blue color scheme combined with the blue header. I like the way they showed off the Super Acorn, and just like the Wii edition of the game, it does reveal the multiplayer capabilities of the game pretty well.
New Super Luigi U. Oh hey, they made a Mario game without showing the exact same grassland biome on the box art. They focused on the forest this time. Ooh, spooky! The new Super Mario Bros. Box arts generally play it pretty safe, with the characters jumping and using their items in standard ways, and while this isn't an exception, the creativity of simply using a different setting goes a long way. Also, it's green! Dean probably didn't like that, but I do. I love when they mess with the boxes outside of the artwork itself. I want them to do it more, please.
Coming into number 18 is Mario vs. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy Advance, and this is these Mario vs. Donkey Kong games perfected. The colors they chose for the background, the iconic Mario and Donkey Kong stare down, and as always, the logo is incredible. I just love this one, and it is actively making me want to buy it. At number 17 is Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, and although I've never played the game, this cover is making me want to correct that sin so bad. This just simply put looks like such a blast. All the illustrations are so full of life and personality. I know the 2 in the background kind of blends in with Mario's hat, which is only fair that I bring that up since I did for the bottom 25% of the list, but I don't care, it still looks awesome. Next up is a game I don't think gets talked about enough in general, but definitely not from the box art perspective. Mario Hoops 3-on-3 does so much right with its cover. The logo is incredible and the coloring on Hoops bounces right off of the sand of a similar hue. All the illustrations on the cover just look fantastic. And now we got one of the pinnacles of the Mario Party series, Mario Party 6. They nail the day and night mechanic in the cover with the 2 sides being represented between the left and right. This is right up there with the best Mario Party box arts and I can't really be told otherwise.
Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door for Switch. This one just feels like a big celebration, which is probably how most fans feel about the game in all honesty. All the main characters are here, but the main focus is on the theater aspect. It's also saturated and eye-catching and beautiful. It makes my YouTube thumbnail brain flutter with excitement. Look at the comic book effect on the audience to make them stand out less rather than just blurring them or putting them further away. Look at the regal border around everything. I wasn't a fan of the new logo at first compared to the original, but it's really grown on me. It's kind of like Super Paper Mario's where they have the trees and surroundings be part of the main logo itself, and I think it looks fantastic.
Number 13 is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle for the Switch, and this one is just so f***ing badass. It does look a little Marvel superhero movie-esque, but honestly I don't mind it. I think with the Mario and Rabbids characters in context, it looks adorable. Also, the Mario and Rabbids logos look great next to each other. I personally prefer this one over Sparks of Hope, but that's just me. Both look pretty great. The return of an actual battle system to the Paper Mario series with Origami King also brought with it a pretty darn dandy box art. Seeing King Ollie folding the page and all the origami-fied characters behind him is both adorable and really on point with the game's aesthetic. And the Paper Mario portion of the cover looks great too, and of course the vibrant logo gets me.
Mario Kart Double Dash. Mario Kart Double Dash, not to be confused with Mario Kart Single Dash, looks awesome. I want to play on that course. It looks like GCN Luigi circuit, but much more interesting and dynamic. I think the concept of the 2 characters in one kart just works. It's a good idea in gameplay, and when you show me a picture of it, I still think it's a good idea. And that's what this is. It's a picture of 2 characters in one kart. I look at it, and I go, oh, that's a cool idea. I'm almost as hyped as Diddy Kong.
And kicking off the top 10 is the remake of Super Mario Bros. 3 that does its original box art justice. This is the same concept except now it has an actual background, and this just looks so much better than the original. I know the original is more iconic, don't give a this one is still awesome. Also, all of the random Game Boy Advance bullshit at the bottom kinda goes hard in this specific context and I can't quite put my finger on why.
Mario Kart 8. Just like Double Dash, this is just another good idea. You're showing me that it's a kart racing game and you can go upside down. You do this by showing me a pretty generic circuit looking course, but it's twisting around in weird ways. You don't need to be a Mario fan to understand the appeal of that. It feels so familiar yet weird and wacky. I love that it portrays the upside down concept by showing the environment itself being flipped, rather than just having Mario upside down. There's also just a really solid render of Wii U Mario Circuit.
Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga comes into the prestigious number 8 position and it is very well deserved. This is easily my favorite of the Mario and Luigi covers. This nails that striking dichotomy between our 2 favorite Italian plumbers. We got Caccoletta scheming in the background and loads of chortles are found on the left with the introduction of Fawful. I'm also happy that we got some lovely illustrations of side characters like Prince Peasley and Popple that are well integrated into the design. And finally, we have the best cover from another Mario series, this time being Mario Party. Mario Party DS is not only one of the best entries in the series, but the cover is just so striking. The usage of the music theme board with the characters running on the keys, the lighting coming from the background, the logo being beautiful, and what the f is Yoshi doing? This cover is in a league of its own and easily deserves its top 10 placement. And once again, we have the best of yet another Mario series. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the perfect Mario Kart box art. This takes this game's brilliant remake of N64 Rainbow Road and makes it the focal point, still emphasizing the frantic nature of anti-gravity and the game's beautiful visuals. This shows off the combination of fun gameplay and zany nature of the Mario Kart games in its full glory. And it is funny how this works out, but we have another best of another Mario sub-series at number 5, the original cover for Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. As much as I love the Switch remake cover, and I do, nothing tops the original. I like how this cover just feels like a journey with the whole treasure treasure map aesthetic. Also, I actually like how the background characters are well integrated behind Mario.
4. Super Mario Galaxy 2. Writing these segments is so hard, man. Dean actually knows what he's talking about, and I'm just here trying to crack jokes to keep you all entertained while I fumble around not knowing what to say. I mean, just look at it! It looks so good! Look at how the blue sky blends into the dark, starry night of the outer space. Look at all the different planets from the different galaxies. Yoshi Star, Puzzle Plank, and Boss Splits. They didn't just keep it in World 1, which is awesome. Yoshi is cute and I love him, and Mario riding him looks sick as hell. I should play this game someday.
Our long-awaited bronze medal goes out to Super Mario Strikers for the GameCube, and whoa. I cannot put into words how crazy it is that Nintendo was this ambitious with an art style for a Mario sports game. All they had to do was make a basic Mario soccer or football game in a similar fashion to the others, but instead they went with this absolutely stunning hand-drawn and edgy look. It is crazy just how close this cover was to being number 1. This is a piece of art. To be honest, I did always know that my top 2 were gonna be these top 2 games. The decision was just which game went where. I went with Super Mario Galaxy for number 2, not being that it wasn't deserving of it, but just because of how good number 1 is. The space background is stunning, Mario soaring through the galaxies is wonderful, and this is one of the greatest gaming logos of all time. However, Super Mario Odyssey is debatably the greatest gaming box art of all time. I say debatably because it has some pretty heavy competition on its own console, but yeah, this is a masterpiece. Part of this is with how stale the Mario franchise was leading up to this release. Not only did this show a breath of fresh air, but the cover also reflected that. Here we have a postcard design showing off the stomps that we come across our journey, Mario throwing Cappy, and another one of the best logos of all time. So yeah, that was my ranking of every Mario box art, or hopefully every, I hope I didn't forget anything. Once again, thank you so much to Mayro for helping me out with the video, because this would have been very much of a juggernaut of a list to come up with on my own. And if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day, and as always, peace out.